Hey folks, welcome back. This is Lucid, and we are jumping back into our game with Ermor, and we are starting off with initial expansion. Now, I had left you with a little bit of a cliffhanger at the end of the last episode. I said I needed to think more, and I needed to think more about what I was going to get for my pretender. And I was conflicted, because there were things I didn't like about the Bless I'd picked. Like, I didn't like the 2x defense. It's okay, but it's not great. I didn't like... Basically, I was going to have trouble. I was going to do okay against mages, because I've got the Reforming Flesh, the HP, and the Blood Vengeance. But I was really going to struggle against super combatants. And the reason is because, especially if they're doing things like Mist Form or Body Ethereal, like I don't have magic weapons, I don't hit terribly hard, I don't have quickness. You know, it's not an extremely killy bless. And I wasn't really worried about the killiness versus troops, because you can kind of just grind through most troops as Ermor. I was really worried about it versus thugs and super combatants, because when they can send a super combatant in to kill your whole army, you're in some trouble. So what I decided to do, there's a few things that are different between this and Queen Hilda, which was the one I was showing you last time. What I decided to do was, before I was Astral 4, and I had major magic resistance instead of magic weapons. So what I did was I added one Astral at the cost of a Dominion point, and took magic weapons and minor magic resistance. Now, I could have kept it at 4 and taken 6 Dominion. And there's a strong argument for that, because 5 is the absolute lowest you want to go on Dominion, because it's going to really limit your free spawn production. On the other hand, getting 5 Astral is really nice, because that is the threshold for breaking into very high Astral. And 4 doesn't quite get you there, but 5 does, especially if I can find a crystal coin, which we'll see. Next up, lowering your Dominion is not great. It's definitely going to limit it's going to basically cost me 1 death gem per turn, which is not great. There are some nice things about it, though. Like, it's going to limit my Dominion spread at the beginning, which I kind of want. Like, I don't really want a ton of Dominion spread at the beginning. My god's going to be dormant. I'm not going to profit until my god comes out, so I'm going to have very, very tiny amount of Dominion spread, which is going to be nice for the expansion phase, so I can get as much money as possible. So that's like a silver lining. It's not great, because it's also going to limit my free spawn production. But before my first war starts, I will have at least 4 forts up. It's going to be very hard for somebody to get up and fighting me before I have my first 4 forts up. And if people don't rush me, which I don't think people are going to want to do, because Ermor's not perceived as that strong. If they don't rush me, I'm going to easily have 8 forts up, or 10 forts up, before my first war. And when I said 4, I meant 4 including my cap for the first phase. But anyway, that's basically going to get me up to Dominion Strength 7, which 7's pretty good. If the game is going well for me, we're going to we'll be able to get up to 9. Getting up to 10 is going to put me in the territory where I'm basically already going to win the game. So it would definitely be nice to take another one here. But I just feel like getting the additional magic resistance and being able to access high astral is probably worth it. It's also going to make me a little less vulnerable to magic duel and stuff. And it also means I could potentially jump around and magic duel other people. So that would be funny. Anyway, we have named them, here it just says taxes, but we have named them Salt, Death, and Taxes. Those are the 3 gray ones. So anyway, here we go. Let us hop into the game. So first turn. In radiation therapy. It's actually turn 2, because the first turn nothing happens, right? All we did the first turn was we cast Revive Acolyte, right? And the reason is because we need somebody to lead our knights, And the first kind of group of spawn, like free spawn we only got 1 Knight of the Sepulchre, which kind of sucks. In your capital, this is something I didn't mention in the national overview, because when I was doing like the fort testing at the very end, is so your capital is a pretty good fort, 300 wall strength. What's actually odd is I think this is a different fort type than, like, I think if you upgrade your own forts to a castle, like to the tier 3 form, I think they actually have more wall integrity. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure. Anyway, but you get better free spawn. You get more free spawn, better free spawn out of your capital than you do out of most of your other forts at a comparable fortification level. So what we're hoping for, like, a good roll is 3, an okay roll is 2, and then bad rolls are 0 and 1. And we got a kind of bad roll. And this is going to determine how fast you can expand. There's a lot of things that are going to determine how fast you can expand. Now, if we look at what's around our cap, we've got Lion Tribe Warriors, Lion Tribe Archers. Pretty easy. We've got up here, where we're going to head, we've got Militia, Heavy Infantry, and Archer, which is perfect for us. More humans down here, Militia, Heavy Infantry, easy. Here we've got Wolf Tribe. Now, Wolf Tribe are kind of going to be problems, because Wolf Tribe are the kind of things, like, if you're heavily armored, you don't care about them, because they've got 2 dagger attacks, which are low damage, but high attack density. But if you have high enough protection where none of that damage is getting through, you don't really care that it's 2 attacks. But if you're skeletons, where you're kind of relying on your shield and not getting hit, the 2 attacks are going to harass you down a little bit more, and they're going to just have a better chance of going past the shield. And then when they hit you, you only have 5 HP, and there's a pretty good chance they get through that. So Wolf Tribe will kind of tear you up. I mean, it's not, like, ridiculous, but it's a problem. So, and it's 50, so we're going to have to be a little careful taking this. Next up, we have Heavy Cav and Heavy Infantry. This, I cannot count the number of times, guys, I have had what I felt was a strong expansion party when I tested. I mean, I can't count, because I only expansion tested like 3 or 4 times. But that's not true. When you look at all the failed times at the beginning when I was kind of getting my Ermorian feet back beneath me, it was probably more than that. So, but yeah, I've definitely lost some parties to Heavy Cav. So they deserve respect. Your knights do a pretty good job killing it. The problem with killing Heavy Cav is these guys do not hit very hard. They have a very hard time getting through Heavy Cav armor and all that. Your knights with the lance charges are going to come through and kind of pop them, and then they have broadswords which hit a little harder. So, and it's, yeah, I don't know. Heavy Cav is rough, guys, for Ermor. Later you know, you're not going to care. But right now, we definitely do care. Now, scripting for this battle. So there's a few things I want to point out. One, you can turn 2, but effectively turn 1. You can double expand. If we had gotten more knights, we would have done a double expand. But getting only 1, we're going to do a single expand. Yeah. So the formation... We've got the Triorius on hold and attack closest up front. We've got the better armored dudes in the front. They're in a sparse line, so if banishment is here, we're not going to get as banished. Hold and fire closest. These guys are a little spaced out and in sparse line. Again, we don't have to worry about morale. We're trying to reduce banishment damage. They're still going to group up once the first waves come. I mean, but that's kind of inevitable. If I were trying really hard, maybe I could reduce it even more by, like, splitting up the squads more, which you can do. Like, I think we're so conditioned playing Dominions to be like, don't over-split squads because you'll get the morale penalty. Well, we don't care. So I could, but in this case I won't. One thing I'm going to be checking almost every turn is mercs, and I'm going to be looking for the sappers. When the sappers come, I will literally kill my whole bank to make sure we get them. Final thing for this turn. When you're expanding with an acolyte and a censor, and then you have a knight you want to bless, you have to be careful because the censor is sacred. This guy's sacred and this guy's sacred. And in this particular instance, we want Ideally, I want to get Unholy Blessing and Unholy Power on my knight. And then maybe on my sensor. I don't really care about that as much. But if these are going to get targeted based on HP priority per tile. So because the knight only has 6 HP, he's going to be a very low priority target. So for example, if these guys were spread out, like if the sensor was here and the knight was here, what's going to happen is turn 1, he's going to buff the sensor because he's highest HP. Turn 2, he's going to bless himself because he's next highest. Turn 3, he would try to bless this guy, and this guy might be out of there by then. So you got to be, or I might not have scripted it, right? Because like this script I have where I'm like, oh, this will work because I'll buff him because he's close, and then I'll buff myself. A script wouldn't work because, well, we've only got like this guy will be gone after this, and we've cast it twice, but he's third priority, so twice is not enough. Anyway, point being, as much as you can, you need to really think about how you're going to do the blessing, because once these guys leave, they're gone. And this is only a 1 AoE bless. So, anyway, it's a thing. And when you're trying to expand with Ermor without a lot of sacreds and without holy threes, it's a problem. Now, do we have a prophet? That is the other thing. No, we do not. And that is because real men do not prophetize for Ermor early. Sure, we could prophetize right now, and we would be getting a lot of lictors. And by the time our gods come out, which would be around turn 14, 15, we will have had 13 extra lictors that otherwise we just wouldn't have. And those would make a difference if we get rushed or something like that, blah, 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 blah. Well, that's true. And if we do get rushed, and we knew it was coming, like rushed. I'm talking not like coalition turn 14. I mean like legit rushed. It would be nice to have those. But I find that to be unlikely. Now that being said, we are going to prophetize. The whole point is we want to prophetize our Archbishop to get a Holy 4. And that is going to make a much bigger difference than 12 lictors in our first early war. Being able to do Unholy Power on everybody. And then also they can reanimate 2 lictors a turn if we're not using them for that. But the best use of their time is not actually going to be doing 2 lictors a turn. It's going to be taking my biggest doom stack and giving everybody +4 attack. It's going to matter a lot. Okay, so that's it. Let's go ahead and go to the next turn. I got 3 turns for you here, and I think I promised this would not be a terribly long episode. So let's take a look at this battle. The motley crew of Province Defense. Got the Unholy Blessing and Holy Power. So this guy's got buffed up attack too. And he just runs in here. A little dangerous. He can hold off a few tiles, but if he gets completely surrounded, he's going to be in trouble. Anyway, they made pretty quick work of these guys. And this makes it look easy, and it's not very hard, but sometimes things can go foul. And we found a Knife of the Damned. Now, here's the harvest from this week's free spawn, which is actually good. We got a 3 roll, so that's nice. And then we have a little bit of chaff. And where we are going to send these guys is, again, we want to go after the easiest places we can. And this will try places up to 60. It was 40 the turn before. So we're going to go head over this way. And basically, we're going to have these guys as kind of decoys out in front, holding fire closest, so the enemy is going to run towards them. We're going to have these guys on guard commander, because sometimes bad things can happen if they get to my dude. And then we're going to have these guys on holding attack closest. Now, I have switched the script from being like... with this particular configuration, I basically have to give up on Unholy Power. If I got rid of the bodyguards, I would feel more confident. I could put these guys in like the same tile if I didn't have the bodyguards. And then one of the Unholy Blessings would go on this guy and a knight, and the other one would go on these 2, and then that would give me, because you basically are going to have 3 slots you can do in the first turn, and that would give me another slot to try to bless the other 2. There's problems with that. They may not be in the same tile, and as great as it would be to have Unholy Power on them, Doing that is going to mean I'm not going to have a bodyguard, which means I could lose my preacher or my acolyte. And I don't want that to happen. And if I'm trying to like min-max it like that, there's a chance I don't bless one of my knights. And if that happens, there's a better chance the knights are going to die because they really do need that defense buff. That is, you know, I was kind of complaining about the defense buff, but it is an important part for expansion. Okay. I mean, it's going to be pretty okay all game, but not phenomenal. Anyway, so we're going to come and attack this. And we've talked about the formation. These guys, I didn't move the formation around at all. The same thing. We're going to come slam into this swamp. Now, ideally, like this is going to be somebody's cap circle. So ideally, we take this and just cut across. And we get all of this. And yeah, we'll just see how much we get. But the thing is, like if we look at where I am on the map, whoever my neighbor is who's over here in this wasteland, they'll probably get this. But I'm probably going to be able to get... I mean, we're going to see who gets the throne. But this is pretty safe because it's blocked off by a river. So for them to come over here, they have to go through a throne. I'm basically protected on this side by thrones. So this is not a very important expansion direction. But I don't even really get to choose because I kind of have to follow the path of least resistance. But just know that I want to expand down this way, but I'm kind of being pressured. And by pressured, I mean chasing crappy indies to expand this way. So anyway, here we go. So we're heading over this way. Again, checking for sappers. We don't have them. And I think that will be it for this. Oh, we're also recruiting a commander here. And that's because we need to start building a fort because next turn we should have enough money to build a fort. And timing on your forts is so important as any of the pop kill nations. Well, any of the ones that need forts, of which we are definitely one. Okay, and so now we're going to go into our current turn, which is right here. And here we go. First battle. Now this is a mistake because this guy gets out too far in front. So I've already fixed this in the script, but I basically shifted him farther back, and because of who we're attacking, I think I actually turned out to not be a problem. We didn't lose much, but I've actually put these guys on fire rather than holding fire, I think, too. Got an affliction battle fright. Ooh, no. Scared undead horseman. That's kind of comical, actually. Alright, and this is exactly what we want. These guys are a bit of a distraction while the knights kill everything. Excellent. We lost 2 dudes. These were our crappy ones, too. So, not bad, especially when you consider there are priests here, or a priest. Now, the other thing that informed my direction for where to expand is I really wanted to go to a human province because I do want to get indie priests. So, I knew the first place I went, I was probably going to build a fort, because like you saw what I did was we moved here, and then I immediately recruited a commander, because you have that 400 starting gold, and so even though my income's garbage, you can start your first fort reasonably early. And this is showing 30 wolf tribe here now. This is my current turn, by the way, of course, since I'm logged into the server. But if it was showing 60 before, it must be like 45. You know, we could go here, too. The problem with this province is there's crossbowmen. But the problem with this province is it's going to give a lot of money. God, maybe we should go here. The crossbowmen can kill my knights, though. There's probably not many. This is definitely the easier province, but this one gives me a chance to get to this choke point first. I think I'm going to do this one. These are easy, and I don't have a ton of dudes yet. Unfortunately, my Dominion hasn't been building up in my capital. It's been spreading to adjacent provinces, which is far from ideal. The way the temple check works is either, like when your temple generates a little candle, it can either stay in your province or it can leave and go elsewhere. And ours have been choosing to leave and go elsewhere. We have also found our northern neighbors, Nazca, which is interesting because in some ways we're going to be decently well handled to deal with Nazca. Like, especially if a lot of times Nazca takes a glass cannon bless, and as long as we can protect our commanders, we'll be okay at dealing with that. Timings are going to matter, though. I think as time goes on, Nazca should be able to generate more chaff than we will, which is not going to be good for us. But once I have my first bit of infrastructure up, it's possible I can just send an overwhelming force at Nazca. The problem, my disadvantage versus Nazca, is Nazca's very good at popping your forts. And while we will have pretty high strategic mobility, it won't be as high as Nazca's. So anyway, that's going to be a concern. But there's a decent chance we choose them as our first war target. Because also, Nazca's super cancerous. But I'm not sure. We'll see. I need to figure out who is to the north. Oh, shit. The person to the north is the person to my south. Because this is Nazca. And this is the person. So as soon as I figure out the person to my south, maybe whoever is more friendly, we double team. This is an interesting situation. Because especially for this person, like for Nazca, they're going to be pretty tempted to attack either me or the person above them. In some ways, that's a much more obvious war target than going this way. And it's kind of a more obvious target than going this way. Wait, this is Nazca, so going this way would mean right here. No, he could go this way too. So Nazca's basically got 3 ways he could go. Anyway, I've switched my formation up. Basically, these guys are on fire. We're going after Horse Tribe. There's no point sitting around here holding fire. They're going to sit here and shoot us with arrows. So we're going to go ahead and do fire. And then we're going to have this guy holding attack closest. So hopefully they'll kind of make contact at the same time. The other thing is I could just give up on holding fire. I think holding fire is good. These lances hurt when you get in melee. Ideally, we kill some of them with javelins. And we've got shields. I'm a little worried this guy gets in too far ahead and dies. Holding attack closest. These guys are on fire. I think he still closes in first. I'll scoot him back a tiny bit. Now, we could go here, but this is inside Nazca's cap circle, and we're not going to do him any favors clearing stuff for him. So we'll come here, and then we'll go here, ideally. If we can't expand here because it's hard, I'll have... Oh, that's a good thing about moving here, is I'm going to have these guys, so we can potentially, if it's hard, consolidate. Bring both these guys here next turn, which would be good. And this turn we didn't roll great. We just got one dude. So anyway, we'll be bringing our one knight. And yeah. Should be okay. And then when these guys come together, we'll have 2 knights. Okay, so I think that is basically it for the turn, and therefore for the episode. None of these I particularly want, nor do I have the money for. I've been doing 6 PD. We've got 10 PD where my fort's coming up. And I think... How many acolytes do we have now? We've got 1, 2, 3. We've got 3, and we're making a 4th. So we may make 1 more, or we may make... We'll probably make 2 more. And those will be leading all of our expansion parties. At some point, like, if this attack goes south and this guy dies, we're going to just send this acolyte home. Yeah. Anyway, I think that's it, guys. Thank you for watching. I will see you next time.